Story recapped here. Today I'm gonna explain an action, sci-fi, and thriller film called BrickMansions. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In Detroit, a riot breaks out as the mayor declares martial law, naming it the most dangerous city in America. A 40-foot containment wall is built to separate BrickMansions, a no-go zone due to the abundance of crime. Furthermore, police checkpoints monitor every movement in and out of BrickMansions. The mayor proposes a project to make Detroit great again. However, his board members remind him that he'll need to take down BrickMansions. Still, the mayor assures him that the Detroit residents will be taken care of. Meanwhile, in an apartment in BrickMansions, K2 looks for Lino, but the people outside the building claim he's not there. During this, however, Lino is upstairs, discarding bags of substances into a bathtub. With guns pulled out on him, K2 says he'll leave his number for Lino. With a pen in hand, K2 takes one guy's hand but stabs the other in the neck. Suddenly, K2's backup, Reza, snipes the last guy before their entire crew runs inside the apartment. Lino looks through the peephole, seeing K2's crew already outside. As they prepare to bust into Lino's room, Lino breaks down the door and parkours his way through K2's men. As he's chased down, Lino jumps to slam a light fixture into one guy before slamming another enemy into a wall, punching him repeatedly before running away. Crashing through a window, Lino grabs onto a loose railing to swing back inside a building. He reaches the fire escape and jumps through the railings to avoid getting caught. Outside, Lino propels himself up the stairs and parkours from roof to roof. With his enemies closing in, Lino grabs a stranger's belt and ziplines on a cord to the next building. As he runs away, Lino notices a grenade thrown his way but jumps to the next building before it explodes. In his apartment, Damien is busy working on his evidence wall. Later, he's at a dinner party headed by George, who gets a call from K2. After dropping the call, George reprimands Peter for giving K2 his number. George tells him that K2 wants 20 kilos of substance delivered to BrickMansions, so Damien volunteers to do it. Meanwhile, K2 and his crew return to their boss, Tremaine, who's infuriated that Lino stole his supply from K2, and K2 failed to retrieve both Lino and the supply. He slams K2's head on the table and holds a butcher's knife to his head, stressing that he also lost 5 of his men during K2's failure. He then pulls out his gun, asking for ideas, and shoots a man who can't give one. Afraid, K2 suggests kidnapping Lino's woman. Meanwhile, George takes Damien to a laundromat to show their business, unaware that they're being watched. Inside, George opens a secret entrance in one of the laundry machines that leads to a covert operation. He explains his business and gives Damien a GPS device with pre-programmed routes. When George notices the van staking them outside, he pulls out a gun, sniffing out the mole. At first, he points the blame at Damien, but notices Peter preoccupied with the aquarium and shoots him instead. As everyone escapes, George leaves the gun to Damien, ordering him to deal with Peter's body. Discreetly, Damien presses something on his watch, sending a signal to the stakeout team, who orders standby cops to raid them. Then, he takes George hostage and commands George's men to put their guns in the aquarium. However, as they get down on the ground, one guy takes the gun from Peter's body and starts a shootout, allowing George to run away alongside his crew members. After running out of ammunition, Damien gets rid of his gun while his opponents attack. Damien expertly fights back despite being outnumbered. When the rest of the men return with guns, Damien runs away. As the police storm the building, George escapes into his getaway vehicle. Damien runs after the car and grabs onto the spoiler. Seeing that Damien won't let go, George shoots at him, so Damien opens the trunk, crawls inside, and bursts through the back seat. He kicks off George's driver and takes charge of the wheel while scuffling with George. After clasping a seatbelt, Damien slams George's head down as he drives straight to a Jersey barrier, making George burst through the windshield and straight to a precinct. Afterward, police officers hold Damien at gunpoint, not believing that he's an undercover cop, so Damien flips them off. Later, Damien returns home and pauses at his father's photo. After cleaning himself up, he marks Tremaine as his next target. The next day, K2 and Reza go through BrickMansions checkpoint, where they come across Mike, who lets them pass without IDs. At a diner, they corner Lola, Lino's ex-girlfriend. Though Lola tries to run away, K2 knocks her out and carries her to their trunk. Meanwhile, Damien visits his grandfather and tells him that he's close to catching Tremaine. However, his grandfather reminds him that revenge and justice are different. At their base, base, K2 drags a bound Lola to Tremaine's office. When Tremaine arrives, he cuts Lola's binds. Tremaine asks for Lino, but Lola says she hasn't seen him in years. Knowing she's lying, Tremaine places his gun on the table, urging Lola to cooperate. Suddenly, Lino bursts through the glass ceiling and takes the gun, holding it over Tremaine's neck. Immediately, Lola and Lino get into an argument. With Tremaine at risk, K2 lets Lola take his gun and hold him at gunpoint as they walk out of the building. Tremaine tries to negotiate, but Lino wants Tremaine to stop selling in their neighborhood. While leaving the building, Tremaine's men point their guns at Lino and Lola but cannot do anything. Lino locks everyone inside with a chain while they leave, so Yeti busts through the door. As they force Tremaine to get into his Mustang, Lola drives away, so Tremaine's crew immediately pursues them. As they're swerving between infrastructures, Lola avoids bullets from their assailants. Arriving at the checkpoint, Lino turns Tremaine to the soldiers, but Mike arrests Lino instead. Tremaine takes Lola and bids goodbye to Lino. Angered, Lino squeezes Mike's genitals, pulls his head through the railing, and drops down on it. At the mayor's office, Damien meets Tom, who worked on the force with Damien's father. Damien's father passed away after a BrickMansions raid. The mayor knows that Damien's father's sacrifice allowed them to build the border, calling him a hero. They tell Damien that a government transport was hijacked. The vehicle was carrying a neutron bomb. The anti-theft program was triggered when the case was opened wrongly, beginning the countdown from 12 hours until its explosion. Damien refuses the mission without intel, so the officers tell him that it's at BrickMansions with Tremaine. Knowing it'll be difficult to get into BrickMansions with the checkpoints, they partner Damien with Lino. Later, Lino is about to get transferred to a different prison after killing Mike, so they throw him in the van. Soon, Damien is roughly escorted into the van too. On the drive, Damien uses a pin to break himself from the cuffs and lockpicks the door to climb up the roof. After getting rid of the cops, Damien hijacks the van and parks in an isolated space to remove Lino's cuffs. Before he can return to the driver's seat, Lino grabs Damien, and they end up fighting for the van. Damien pulls Lino off him and gets into the driver's seat but offers Lino a ride as he drives away, so Lino jumps in through the window. On the way to BrickMansions, Lino asks about Damien's motives, so he answers that he's out for vengeance because Tremaine killed his friend. On their way to the checkpoint, Damien doesn't stop even when the police tell him to. He bursts through a blocked entryway and drives into an empty building but crashes through the window. However, the brakes and steering wheel stop working, so the vehicle crashes into another car, which stops them. Before they could exit, Lino handcuffs Damien to the steering wheel, saying he knows he's a cop before leaving. Left alone, Damien gets held at gunpoint by the owner of the car he crashed into. Disarming the man, Damien elbows him before unlodging the steering wheel so he can get out. When the man's backup arrives, Damien fights them using a steering wheel. Despite beating them, men start shooting from the roof, making Damien run away. Back at his base, Tremaine tells Lola that Lino will be coming to save her. When Tremaine leaves to get to his vantage point, he leaves Lola to Reza. Meanwhile, Lino is scoping out Lola's position from another building, when Damien comes up behind him and cuffs his hand on the railing. When Lino asks how Damien found him, Damien confesses that he put a tracker in Lino's pocket. Damien tells Lino about the bomb that Tremaine has, which will destroy the entirety of BrickMansions. Lino points out that Tremaine's men will just kill him, but Damien insists on trying anyway. Lino offers to help so long as he gets to save Lola, but Damien thinks Lino will kill him as soon as he can. Still, the two have no choice but to trust each other. To begin his plan, Lino calls Tremaine, saying he's coming over. While left alone, Reza plays around with Lola, trailing Lola's skin with a blade before turning her back on her. Taking the chance, Lola grabs a hook to uncuff herself before using it to smack Reza in the face. Before she can escape, Reza grabs Lola, so she fights back. The women fight until Lola swings a chain against her opponent, but Reza quickly grabs it and twists it around Lola's neck. Reza pins Lola down but stops when Tremaine contacts Reza over the radio, telling her not to play too roughly. Jumping in the lion's den, Lino and Damien get escorted to Tremaine, passing by the government truck that carried the bomb. Right away, Lino tells Tremaine that Damien is a cop and that he came to disarm the bomb. However, Tremaine has the bomb tied to a rocket on the next building and plans to launch it downtown, away from BrickMansions. When Lino checks on Lola, Tremaine shows him Reza chaining Lola to the rocket. Angered, Lino tries to attack Tremaine, but K2 holds him off. Insisting on making a deal, Tremaine asks how much money Damien is willing to give for the lives of the people downtown. Damien berates him for bidding with people's lives, but Tremaine stresses that they've been abandoned in BrickMansions. Damien blames the dealers like him for the government abandoning them, but Tremaine defends that he's just been easing the pain of their people. In the end, he demands $30 million. To fulfill the deal, Damien contacts Tom and gives him Tremaine's bank account to transfer the money into. to, but Tom tells him that they don't have money and hangs up. Still, Damien pretends that the money has been sent so we can disable the bomb. Tremaine insists on ensuring that the money is in their account first, and the bank doesn't open for 25 minutes. They take Lino and Damien captive while they wait. Lino is confident that they'll be free once Tremaine gets his money, but Damien discreetly confesses there's no money. Damien regrets not killing Tremaine when he had a chance, making Lino wonder about Damien's story about Tremaine killing his friend. So Damien confesses that it was his father instead. After giving his condolences, Lino comes up with a plan and pretends to suffocate. As their watcher starts panicking, he escorts them outside. Meanwhile, Tremaine is suspicious since they acquired the bomb too easily. Instead of a hijack, K2 was notified about the government truck that was left with no security and the keys still inside. While being escorted, Lino and Damien jump on the guys in front of them before launching themselves into a backflip and escaping. When Lino parkours over a wall, Damien is unable to follow. When K2's group gets to the spot, Damien bursts through the ceiling next to Lino. Outside, Damien hits a guy with a pole to jack Tremaine's Mustang, immediately driving away with Lino. As they get chased, Damien circles around, creating a dust cloud to obscure their pursuer's vision. However, a sniper shoots at them, so they crash the car. Just as K2's group arrives, Lino and Damien hide inside a school bus. K2 notices Lino peeking over the window, so they start raining bullets on the bus. When the men check inside, however, the two have escaped through a trap door. Cars keep chasing after them, but Lino and Damien fight against their pursuers before running in opposite directions. Lino and Damien coordinate their movements, throwing a brick onto their pursuers' windshields, then jumping over a dumpster, making the cars crash against each other. When a bullet narrowly misses him, Damien realizes there's a sniper nearby. With a clear shot, the sniper pulls the trigger but realizes he's out of bullets. After reloading, his targets are gone. Damien arrives from behind and punches the assailant before taking his gun. Meanwhile, satellite footage detects Tremaine's missile. The mayor and his colleagues realize that they're going to send the bomb back to their neighborhood, so they start scrambling for solutions. When the bank opens, Tremaine discovers that not only did the government not send their money, but they're emptying all their accounts as well. Angered, Tremaine prepares for launch. Just as Tremaine triggers the rocket, Damien snipes the controller from the opposite building, making it fail. Then, Damien shoots at Reza to get her away from Lola. Tremaine rolls out with his crew, planning to kill the duo while Lino and Damien go to the roof. However, they realize that the buildings are too far from each other. Still, Lino propels himself to the next building, successfully crashing through the window. Following his lead, Damien jumps but slams on the edge. Before he could slip, Lino helps him up. Inside, Yeti blocks their way, so they team up to take him down. Despite multiple hits, Yeti still stands, so the two cooperate. Pulling a cord, Lino twists around Yeti to subdue him with Damien's help. Afterward, Lino takes a concrete block and smashes it on Yeti's head. Meanwhile, Tremaine goes to the roof to manually fire the rocket, but he chooses not to, telling Reza that he's a businessman and doesn't want to kill millions. Angry, Reza holds him at gunpoint, saying she'll do it herself. When Tremaine tries to pull out his gun, Reza shoots his arm. While Reza is distracted, Lola jumps on her neck, puts her in a chokehold, and maneuvers to drop her off the building. Just then, Lino runs to Lola as Damien points a gun at Tremaine. He tosses his phone to Lino, telling him to disarm the bomb with a code that will be sent. With revenge within reach, Damien reminds Tremaine about the raid where he killed his father, but Tremaine says there was no raid. Instead, Tremaine saw Damien's father get killed by his colleagues. Damien refuses to believe him. When the code arrives, Lino notices that it's BrickMansions' zip code, realizing that it's a setup. Still, Damien tells him to punch it in, but Lino doesn't, so Damien headbutts him. Just as Damien inputs the code, Lino stops him, and they engage in a fist fight, with Damien focused on getting to the bomb while Lino keeps him away from it. With a few seconds left, Tremaine pulls a gun on Damien to stop him. At the same time, Lino points out the inconsistencies of the supposed hijack, given that they saw the government truck unharmed. This makes Damien hesitate long enough to watch the bomb reach zero. When it does, the bomb doesn't blow up, so Damien realizes that it was indeed a setup. Losing faith in his city, Damien throws away his badge. At the mayor's office, Damien and Lino raid the building alongside Tremaine's men. While a riot takes place, Damien and Lino take the elevator to the office. Upon arriving, Lino and Damien pull the rug on the guards, tripping them before taking the guns. With the mayor and his colleagues held at gunpoint, Tremaine arrives with a bomb, places it on the desk, then opens it to activate it. Damien slowly presses the code until the mayor stops him. The mayor questions why Damien didn't follow through, but Damien now knows that they tricked him like they did his father. The mayor stresses he's doing the right thing by getting rid of Detroit's biggest problem, the animals in BrickMansions. Furious, Tremaine questions him if they're the animals or those who intend to kill underprivileged women and children. Still, the mayor contends that he's doing the right thing for his people. Just then, Damien takes off his microphone and points toward a cameraman on the next building's roof, recording the mayor's confession. In the news, they report about the mayor's plan to bomb BrickMansions, so he's arrested, and a new spot for mayor opens up. Soon, the acting mayor removes the checkpoints on BrickMansions and reopens schools, hospitals, and police stations. When Damien visits Lino, he's now teaching children parkour and back together with Lola. When they compliment Damien's new car, he tells them that Tremaine gave it to him because it doesn't fit his image now that Tremaine's running for mayor. With everything over, Damien soon reunites with his grandfather.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.